Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and as you can see, I'm in the greenhouse. At least once a week, I do what I'd call a major tune-up in the greenhouse. I'm in here every day, a couple of times a day, watering, checking things like that. We've had a minor infestation of cabbage looper moths this fall, something we've never had in here during the fall time before, but it's warmer than it's supposed to be. So we still have a lot of flycatchers outside, and we still have a lot of moths and butterflies. Now the butterflies are cool, but of course they can lay eggs and make a mess too. But in here we're getting cabbage loopers. So occasionally when you look at things, you'll find something that's been, you know, a little chewed up, shall we say. Now, I happen to know that the critter that did the chewing up on here has long since been squashed, but unfortunately the holes do not reheal, and therefore they're going to look like that forever. But this is one of the kohlrabi that I had transplanted to see if it would bulb up once it had lots of room. Now, so far, I'm honestly not seeing any difference in these kohlrabi. The light colored, if you remember, the issue was the purple ones don't seem to bulb, the light green ones do seem to bulb, irregardless of what the variety is. Now I'm only using one type of purple, it's purple Vienna. They all have room now, lots of it. I'm not seeing any change in them. The guys who had already started to bulb are bulbing, same as always. But today my job is to transplant. I got in the mail this week 15 more of these 10-gallon tubs and 10 of the saucers to go under them. That was an experiment, that's why I only have 10, because I wasn't sure the quality. The quality I had been finding locally was very poor, and they were very expensive for what I was getting. They were just like super flimsy. They were made out of mostly like water bottle material. That's how flimsy they were, except it was brittle. And I was like, that's not going to work, because the stuff gets tripped over, moved around in here. This is a working greenhouse. It's not some pristine display in somebody's fancy house. So yeah, that wasn't going to work. I did find somewhere, and I don't remember where, I found some decent ones, but they were really, really expensive, like $15, $20 a piece. And I'm like, I can't afford that for this many pots. So I tried these guys. So far so good. We'll see how they work. One of the things I do like about them is that if I put them like these guys, I loaded up, preloaded with soil for transplanting. I put them under there. Any dirt that's going to fall out of the pot in the bottom holes falls out while I'm doing this. Then I could dump that back in something else. So a little less soil loss. It's only a few tablespoons, but I figure it all adds up. Every bit counts, you know. So first thing I'm going to do is transplant some lettuce. And I'm going to take you along with me for the first pot, and then I'll bring you back when I get the stuff done. Everybody in here is Salanova. We have green oak leaf, these guys, and red oak leaf, this guy. And I'm just going to stick 4 of these in a pot. Now, from experience, I know that 4 is enough. If I put more than that in, even though it looks like there's a million acres of landscape right now to work with, when the plants gets bigger, it's going to be problematic. The lettuce is going to be too crowded, and it's going to be more susceptible to rot. So I don't want that. So all I'm going to do is plant them at 12, 3, 6, and 9. And I'm going to plant them right close to the edge of the pot so that they will have a tendency to drip over the edge of the pot. Just makes it more effective in terms of space usage. Now, some of these cells have two plants in them, and in that case I'm just going to break the thing open, tear it down the middle, and put them in. I'm trying to get the top of the dirt in the cell about the same as the top of the dirt in the pot. I don't want to bury them really deeply, but on the other hand, I don't want them sitting up proud of the soil. I don't want the soil like that. I want it to be right where that soil on the plant is. And that is all there is to it. So I will bring you guys back when I have a bunch more done.
Today's the day. I'm going to get into the workshop. Well, it's not exactly a workshop right now. It's a bit of a mess. Come along, I'll show you and I'll tell you what we're doing. The workshop is full. It's full of junk. This has been a project that's needed to be done for 3 years. And today, it's time.
The lettuces are done. I've transplanted a total of 12 lettuce plants in these 3 containers here. One of them is really tiny. One of the Muir lettuce plants is really tiny, but I transplanted it anyway because if it makes it, it makes it, and if it doesn't, it had a chance. I also watered with fertilizer everything that was already settled in here. The things that are brand new, like the lettuce, have been watered with plain water. I'll wait 3 to 5 days on them, depending on how they're doing. And if they've perked right up and stuff like that, then I will give them a little bit of light 20-20-20. I'm doing what they call spoon feeding. I'm not giving any giant lumps of fertilizer that could burn the plants, but I want them to have a steady supply of stuff. Now, my next thing that I'm going to transplant is Laurentian rutabagas. I have grown them before, and last year we were really concerned that we had basically failed because they didn't bulb up quite the way we had hoped they would, but they did eventually, and we were like, well, they might be woody, because we've had rutabagas from the grocery store here before that were quite woody and not particularly lovely. Oh my gosh, talk about sweet and delicious. Whew. They were just amazing. So we decided we would grow them again this year. Unfortunately, we did not get them set early enough. They take about 90 days. So we did not get them set early enough for Thanksgiving, and so far I haven't seen any in the grocery store. I need to look again this week, but we're almost out of time, and well, we just may not have rutabagas this year. But with any luck, we'll have some either for Christmas or for New Year's sometime. And I have 2 little flats here of rutabagas. And now they're saying you should plant them about 6 inches apart in a row. I don't have a row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant them about 6 inches apart in my pot and one in the middle. And that works out to about 6 inches, maybe just a smidge smaller. I'm also going to be very careful about their fertilizer. One of the things that's important to know about rutabagas is that they are boron sensitive. In other words, if they have a boron deficiency, they won't grow well. So once these guys are established over here, I'm going to give them their usual 20-20-20, but I'm also going to make sure that I give them some micro boost, because that will give them that boron they need, and I will probably hit them with micro boost at least once a month. I usually use micro boost about every other time out here when I fertilize. My assumption is that the potting soil we're using is okay and probably has your basic NPK stuff in it, especially since I'm adding a little anyway. But I wouldn't want to make any important bets on the micronutrients in it, so I'm going to hedge my bets by putting in some micro boost. I've already marked this out, and I'm going to get these guys transplanted over. It's nothing amazing, really. I have my little cells. There they are. And I'm going to plant them so that they tend to flop over towards the edge, because that gives more space in the pot. I'm also going to slightly bury the base of the stem. Doesn't seem to hurt it, and it does sort of help to control the floppage because they tend to flop over. And like I say, I'm going to direct them to flop towards the edge of the pot so that they can have more space. Now, in addition to all that watering and stuff that I did while you guys were gone, I also trimmed back the tomatoes. Did a fairly heavy harvest of tomatoes this week. A whole stack of granaderos, which are a paste tomato, and a fairly good number of big beef and other things. We've had a pretty amazing, I try not to get dirt on my face here. We've had a pretty amazing harvest of tomatoes this year here. The plants don't always look wonderful. Like I said before, this is not a good housekeeping spread on what tomatoes should look like. This is me trying to grow tomatoes. So I'm pretty pleased that we've gotten a lot of tomatoes. I have, I think now got 5 1-gallon containers of tomatoes sitting in the freezer waiting to become tomato sauce. I don't know when we're going to get to that, but it has to happen soon because I'm still harvesting tomatoes and I've run out of room in the freezer. So maybe this coming, well, I was going to say maybe this coming weekend, and I thought about the schedule. The schedule right now is just awful because Jack is getting shots twice a week for his arthritis. We're trying to determine if this is doing any good for him. We think it is, but you know, you're always like, am I imagining this? I don't know, you know. So certainly not doing any worse, and he may be doing better. We'll see. I'm not sure how many weeks it takes before we know for sure if it's working or not. If it is working, we're going to have to learn to give shots because we can't afford to drive up to Flagstaff twice a week or even once a week, or you know, basically what they do is they do twice a week for a while, and then they do once a week, and then they do once every other week. It's a maintenance dose sort of a thing where you have to do it every so often, and I don't know how often that so often is, but the problem is twofold. Number one, the price of fuel is right up right now. It's got to be about 60 miles to the vet's office from here, so the price of fuel is just eating our shorts. I have one extra rutabaga, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in here. This is a miscellaneous pot. It has Thai basil, 3 Atlantis broccolis, and right now it's also got 2 radishes. I harvested a 3rd radish this morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick this in here next to this radish, because this radish will be coming out in the next week, maybe 2 at the most, probably the next week. So it'll have plenty of room. So I'm just going to stick this guy in here. I'm going to wedge him in next to the radishes and let him drape out the edge the same way as I am the plants in the other pot. And I don't mind if they're, you know, they're not going to be crowded, because these 2 radishes here are going to be gone, and that's going to create another section of space. There we are. Now, what do I have left? I have lots and lots of Copenhagen cabbage and marathon broccoli and another kind of broccoli. I don't know which one it is. I don't remember if it's emerald green or if it's something else. But I'm going to organize for that, and then I'll be back again. Oh, and I should show you what I've gotten harvested yet already here. There's a little radish that I harvested. And here's my small harvest of tomatoes. Like I said, I harvested a lot earlier this week. So there's only 1 Granadero in here, and all the rest of them are Gardener's Delight cherry tomatoes. So I'll be back.